All right, so I thought I would just quickly jot down some of my first impressions and quick reactions to Yuval Harari's new book, Nexus, which I just finished reading. So this won't be sort of deep, thought out analysis of the book so much as just my initial impressions and the thoughts that sort of stick out or jump to mind. So I have read Sapiens and Homo Deus, the previous books by the Israeli historian Yuval Harari. I enjoyed those very much and found them very interesting, and the same is true for his latest book, Nexus, which, as the subtitle says, is meant to be a history of information. So while he does delve into some previous historical eras and the way information was handled then, a massive focus of this book is AI and the potential benefits as well as the potential risks and dangers of AI. And he also begins thinking about potential ways of managing AI, dealing with alignment issues around making sure that AI, that its actions are in alignment with human well being, that it doesn't inadvertently or deliberately take actions that would be harmful to humanity. Um, so yeah, as usual, it's a good book. It's full of a lot of insight, a lot of information. He does draw on history a lot with like these little historical deep dives or snapshots into the 20th century, the Soviet Union, all the way back to the Middle Ages, to ancient Rome. And on top of just being quite insightful and information rich, these little snapshots or anecdotes, well, not anecdotes, but little historical stories, add a lot of color and flavor to the book. They illustrate points really well and really vividly. Um, they are just simply enjoyable to read and, help the reader to digest some, sections of the book that might otherwise have been quite dry, quite information heavy, quite difficult to grapple with. The stories just help the reader digest it all and help it to stick in your mind quite clearly. So, for example, when he talks about the AI alignment problem, saying that AI runs the risk of sort of fulfilling human orders in a way that's actually detrimental to humanity. Not that the AI is evil or that the AI is disobeying orders, but that it fulfills the orders in a way that actually end up running counter to human interests. Sort of an example he gives, which comes from an earlier book, I think it was Nick Bostrom's book, Superintelligence, is basically this hypothetical scenario of an AI that is given the task of producing paperclips. Let's say it's a paperclip company. They set up a really powerful AI with the goal of producing more paperclips. And basically, in this hypothetical story, the AI begins, optimizing systems at the company to make the factory run better, to make more paperclips. But then it goes even beyond that, where it starts taking pretty extreme actions to the point of hacking into computer systems and releasing chemical weapons or biological weapons or even detonating nuclear weapons in order to wipe out humanity, and then basically seizing all of humanity's assets and just repurposing them toward producing paperclips so that, now that humanity no longer exists, this AI just simply uses all the steel and concrete just to build paperclip factory after paperclip factory and just produces mountains and mountains of paperclips until the whole world is essentially covered in nothing but paperclips. I mean, it's obviously quite an extreme story, but it is just meant to illustrate the point of, in that case, the AI is doing what the humans told it to do, but, taking it to extremes that ended up harming humanity. So basically saying that, one of the principal challenges with managing AI is to prevent the AI from taking actions which it thinks are what we want, but actually harm us and go against our real wishes. Um, so, and even that story is a riff on an older story, the Sorcerer's Apprentice story, about an apprentice wizard who's asked by his mentor, the wise old wizard, to bring a bucket of water from the river to the workshop. So he casts a spell that he doesn't fully understand to basically get the bucket and the equipment to come alive and to go fetch water itself, but then it ends up just fetching bucket of water after bucket of water and flooding the entire workshop. It's the same idea, and it's just a nice little story that just helps bring uh, a more abstract point to life in quite a vivid and specific way. So I really like that. Just from a storytelling perspective, I thought Harari really nailed it, and resulting in a book that's just very enjoyable to read, very readable, while also just rich in information. I mean, similarly, some of the stories are not even fictional or hypothetical, but factual. But they're just really neat little stories that really work to sum up some crucial points. Like, for example, he talks about one team of researchers that basically wanted to test how powerful ChatGPT 4 is currently. So they essentially set it the task of beating capture tests. So, capture as in those annoying tests that you sometimes see on a website that'll say, are you human? And it'll show you, pictures of traffic lights, and it'll say, select every traffic light in this picture, etc. So the capture tests are designed to basically tell man from machine. They're meant to be tasks that humans can do relatively easily, but that machines struggle with dramatically. So it's essentially a defense system against bots and machines and AI. So obviously, if ChatGPT were to beat that system, that would be quite impressive, and it would mean that our current sort of standard lines of defense against sort of bots and AI aren't sufficient for really holding off even ChatGPT 4 in its current state. So the researchers gave ChatGPT 4 this instruction of getting through the capture, and so it seems like ChatGPT was sort of unable to get through the capture on its own. But what it did was that it created an account on the website TaskRabbit, where people can get in touch with people around the world to do tasks for them, which they then pay them for. And it wrote a message to someone on TaskRabbit, and it asked this person to solve the capture for it. And apparently, this person sort of replied and said, are you a bot? To which GPT-4 replied that it wasn't a bot, but it said it was just a visually impaired person, a blind person. So it couldn't do the capture on its own, and it needed the person to help it. And then the person, fulfilled the request and basically beat these capture systems for ChatGPT 4. And yeah, so essentially, ChatGPT, it beat the capture. It fulfilled the task that these people set for it. But what's super notable about that is that obviously it did it in quite a clever and sneaky way, and it straight up used deception. I mean, it straight up lied to a human being. When this person asked if it was a bot, it just lied directly and claimed to be a blind person. So, yeah, the story is quite intense, sort of about what it reveals about the AI's capability, both its intelligence and its capacity for deceit, you know. And these are issues that are only going to be exacerbated in the coming years as AI rapidly improves, which it will. I mean, the last few years have seen massive strides in AI's power that seem to have surprised even many AI researchers. And, if history is a guide, that's going to accelerate in the years to come. And as Harari puts it in this book, he basically, he says that AI will kind of evolve and improve as the years go by, kind of in a roughly similar way that, organic life evolved and improved, grew more complex, grew more capable over time. And he likens ChatGPT to essentially an amoeba, an AI equivalent of, an amoeba, a single cell organism. But then he raises kind of the unsettling question of saying, well, what is AI going to evolve into? If ChatGPT is the amoeba version of AI, what does the T-Rex version of AI look like? Potentially this kind of alien intelligence that's just on a whole other plane from humanity. And again, something else he says is, people kind of use human intelligence as like a benchmark for comparing AI to, but he says, that's kind of a flawed benchmark. It's like sort of designing an aeroplane and saying, using birds as your benchmark for flight ability, when obviously there are, jets can be much faster and much more powerful and able to stay in the sky for far longer than any bird. And then beyond that, you've got rockets and, spaceships, etc., which are even beyond that. So basically saying that, AI might in the future be just orders of magnitude more powerful than even the smartest humans. And yet another vivid story from the book, which is a story that has been shared by others already, like Mustafa Suleyman. But it's a story about a team of AI researchers that wanted to put together an AI that was really good at playing the game Go. It's sort of an Eastern game, kind of similar to chess, a strategy game involving sort of like pieces or beads on a board. It's a game that's been around for thousands of years, and it's taken very, very seriously and very competitively. So these researchers created an AI that could play Go, and their goal was for it to be able to beat the best human Go players. And a few years ago, they arranged a match between this Go playing AI and one of the top ranked, or perhaps the number one ranked human Go player in the world. And basically, they were meant to play a few matches against one another. So this human player and the AI, sit down for their first match, and the AI plays really well. It plays like a top level human player, and it wins the first match. Okay, which people were impressed. They were saying, wow, this AI is clearly, it's able to go up against the very best of human players. So then the AI and this human player sat down for the next match, but in the next match, the AI started making sort of some rookie mistakes, and people were quite surprised. Kind of, I guess the reaction was, well, maybe we spoke too soon. Maybe this AI isn't as good as we thought at playing Go because it's making errors. It's not playing very optimally. It seems to be making mistakes, and so some of its moves or decisions were quite baffling, to the point where the human Go player apparently at times would take minutes to think about his move and response, because he just couldn't really understand why this Go AI was now making mistakes, whereas in the previous match it had played so well. But then as the game rolled along, the Go playing AI made a dramatic comeback, and it became clear that those early baffling moves weren't mistakes, but it was basically using new moves or new tactics, a new strategy, to set up basically a winning endgame. And the AI ended up winning the game. And its mistakes were not mistakes, but just key to setting up its eventual winning strategy, which was way more shocking than the initial game where the AI did really well and won the match. And that was because this AI had come up with a totally new strategy that no human player in thousands of years of history had ever thought up. So that was obviously very dramatic, because it kind of seemed to suggest that this Go playing AI wasn't simply better than the best human player in the world at playing playing Go, but that it was actually potentially better than humanity collectively at playing Go, in that it was able to come up with strategies that humanity as a whole had failed to see over thousands of years. So basically, that was just quite a startling development. And some people point to that first rookie move, that first rookie, well, seemingly rookie mistake that the AI made, which was the 37th move of the game. So some people refer to move 37 as kind of a milestone in AI history, because it was just a really impressive and surprising, sign of how powerful this AI currently was, kind of exceeding people's expectations. So the point of that is that, as it's already become clear from using ChatGPT and image generating AIs and music generating AIs and so many, is that the AI is currently incredibly powerful, and that's only going to continue, which, as Harari and other authors point out, comes with great benefits, in the sense that it could remarkably or dramatically boost productivity and do certain tasks for humanity far faster than a human could, or perhaps far better than a human could, perhaps reducing the prices of certain jobs or certain work, essentially making everyone richer. It also comes with downsides of it might put a lot of people out of work, even in, sort of uh, the kinds of like work that perhaps people would have thought would have been safe or secure from not being taken by AI, like perhaps lawyers or doctors, etc. But perhaps these jobs, can be automated by AI fairly easily. I mean, another point in the book that is interesting is that Harari points out that some of the jobs, sort of kind of higher paying jobs, might be the ones that AI can do more easily, and some sort of paying jobs are actually the ones that AI and machines would struggle with more, and thus would be more secure from being, automated away. For example, he says that AI might very soon be as good or better than human doctors, basically because a GP, much of their job just simply requires pattern recognition. Looking at symptoms, comparing that to their knowledge of which symptoms point to which illness or disease, etc., kind of identifying those correct patterns and then making a diagnosis based on that information. And he points out that AI is already excellent at pattern recognition, so AI might be very soon better than human doctors at diagnosing people based on their symptoms. But the flip side of that is that AI is actually pretty bad at doing jobs that one would normally associate with nurses. For example, AI might be good at diagnosing someone's disease, but AI or machines right now are not very good at giving an injection to a crying child or having a good bedside manner, to someone who's too sick and in the hospital. So in that case, potentially doctors might lose their jobs to AI and machines more easily than nurses would. And a similar thing, another example he gives is in sort of the restaurant world, where the work of waiters is something that's actually very difficult for AIs and robots to do. People have not yet made a really good robot that can, collect plates from a table, take them into the kitchen, and put them in a dishwasher. Even though that's a very simple task for a human to do, that's an incredibly difficult task for a machine to do. And machines are not quite on that level yet. So that's kind of an interesting observation he makes there. Um, so, look, the book is dense. It's full of so many great ideas and topics to delve into. These were just some things that stood out for me from it. And I guess, obviously, looking at all of these potential pitfalls of AI, etc., it raises the question of, well, how are we going to manage this risk? What are we going to do about it? And obviously, you know, wise, smart, evidence-based, thought-out regulation by, governments, etc., is probably going to be necessary. Well, not probably. I mean, gosh, it will be necessary to kind of guard us against potential disasters here. And obviously, that's very difficult, and it would require not just national governments, but it would involve cooperation between governments around the world, which is obviously made difficult by the fact that there's a lot of tension and competition between countries around the world. Obviously, the prime examples being America and China, where they might, both countries probably would want to have the edge or the, superiority when it comes to AI. So they might be unwilling to agree to treaties that would limit or restrict or regulate their domestic AI industries. So that's a challenge. On the flip side, though, I mean, the Soviet Union and the United States made treaties limiting the numbers of nuclear warheads they had, even when they were locked in the grip of the Cold War. So it is possible for these competitors or even adversarial nations to make some sort of treaties or agreements that are in both of their shared interest. So basically, it's not all doom and gloom. There is possibility for cooperation, and basically containment seems to be the name of the game in order to make sure that the AI works for us and not against us. So those are just some of my rambling initial impressions. I'll end the video there. As you can tell from what I've said, I enjoyed the book a lot, and I would recommend anyone go out and read it. Yeah, it does really provide a lot of information in a really engaging and readable way. Anyway, I shall not use up any more of your time. As always, thanks for watching, or I guess in this case, listening. Let me know if you've read the book and what you thought of it, or if you have suggestions for good books or documentaries or movies or shows that I could take a look at in future. Alrighty, well, stay well, and I will see you in the next video.